I do like the smell of a brand new release of Craft CMS. And what we have here is Craft 3.2, which is now available as a general release. If you load up your Craft 3 sites, you should see it listed. You do have to be on the latest version of Craft 3.1. You have to be at, I believe, 3.1.34 to get to 3.2. So it will prompt you to upgrade to at least that first. There's a roadblock that's in place. But here we are, 3.2. If you've been following along here on CraftQuest, you know I've been covering what is available to you in Craft 3.2, what's new. And I want to do that, but we're going to upgrade CraftQuest to 3.2, and then we're going to go over some of the features that are in the new release. So the first thing, we got a couple of warnings here saying that I've used project config, that we are recommended to run it again in 3.1.34 before updating. So if you know this command right here, project config, we just go to the command line and run craft project config rebuild. Just rebuild it one more time, and then we're ready to run it. So we have the option, of course, of updating from here, or we can go into the command line and run craft update info and get some information about available updates. And we can run it from here as craft update all, or we can just run it right from the control panel. So we'll just click on update, and it's going to run us through our update. Now, what I've done here is I have created a new branch called Craft 3.2 update or something like that. And I'm doing all of my work in that branch. So if I do have to back out, I can. I've also copied my database so that I can easily roll back. Of course, I do all of my updates locally first and test them. If you are curious how I do updates, you can check out on the site, look for how to update a live craft site. There's a video there that covers that. And that's it. We are up to date. You can see down here, we are running Craft 3.2.0. So let's check out what is new. So the first thing that you'll probably notice new is if you go to entries, and here on lessons, you can look down below and you can see here that we have pagination. Long live the infinite scroll. Kind of glad that's gone, right? I mean, it's fine for a few things, but if you have hundreds of entries, or even 100, it's really nice now to be able to page through and see everything that you have. Especially when you're looking at all of your entries. Here's 432. I can kind of easily page through them. So the theme around Craft 3.2 is improving the authoring experience. So everything you're going to see is kind of around that. There's some things that aren't really authoring experience, like testing and some other things. But a lot of things that we're going to talk about are improving the authoring experience. And this is one right here. So we have pagination on our element index pages. This is great. I can go into courses and I can just paginate through everything. Now, speaking of element indexes, another new feature in Craft 3.2 is the ability to export elements right from the element index. So check it out. I can click on export, and I can export all of the elements under courses, and I can limit it if I want, and then click export. My browser is going to prompt me what to do with this entries.csv file, and we can just say, we'll just open it with numbers. And here we are. Here is our export. Now, if we look at it, it has all of the data that we would need, things like slugs, dates, section IDs, titles, content, everything that you would need for that element to maybe migrate it to another system, to use something like Craft's FeedMe plugin, to import it into another system, or to migrate content. It's all here. So this is really handy. So now we have not only native export, because Craft now owns FeedMe, we have essentially first-party import. And you can see this is all going to come together to where Craft's going to have a seamless way of getting your content and data in and out of this system. So this is going to be a fantastic addition in Craft 3.2 to easily dump stuff out of the control panel into CSV, XLS, XLSX, and ODS. And of course, you can limit it as well if you just want some test data. It doesn't matter what you have checked. That is not going to play a part in what is exported. You can see if I check those and export and open it up with numbers again, you can see it still has all of the same data. Now, speaking of entries, if I go into an article, and let's say I need to edit it. Say I want to go in here and change the blog summary. As soon as we edit, you can see it just popped in here. It starts to auto-save a new draft of the entry. It's already saved here. We don't have to click save anymore or save draft. It automatically does it, and here is the draft saved right here. And then if I go back, let's say I leave, and then come back to Zero Downtime Deployments article, you can see here's my current, this is what's live, and then here's the draft. I click on that, and then it pops back in what I was working on before. So auto-saving of drafts for entries is now available also in Craft 3.2, another great authoring enhancement. Another handy authoring feature in Craft 3.2 is the multiple preview targets. So if we go into a course entry, let's say setting up email sending in Craft CMS, and I click on preview, then I'll get the preview of that course landing page. So this is the main course page, and it has all of the course videos. Now, this is fine, but I really want to make sure that this looks good in all of the different places on the site where the course will appear. It'll appear here, but it's also going to appear on the course index page as well. And I want to make sure that this looks good with the content that I put in. And it's also going to appear on the dashboard as well. And I want to make sure here on this new one, CraftQuest, it'll appear here sometimes, maybe in here. And I want to make sure that it looks good there as well. The nice thing about this is that Craft 3.2 allows us to set multiple targets for previews. So to do that, we go into the settings and then sections, and then the settings for the course. And you can see usually the preview is just going to use whatever is set for the entry template. But below we have preview targets, and we can add multiple targets. So I could add a target for the logged in dashboard and give it the URL format. In this case, it'll just be /dashboard. And I can also add one for the course index. And for me, it'll be /courses. Now for lessons, I would do the same thing. And for live streams as well, just change this second one. So let's click save. Go back to our courses. Go back here to email sending. Let's say I make a change, or I'm creating a new course. I want to preview it. I click preview. And now up here, I have a drop down that allows me to toggle between the different views that I want to preview. And now as a content author, I have the ability of seeing how my content is going to look in the main places that users will be seeing it as well. So that is another feature in Craft 3.2 that is new. And just like all of the live preview, as you add things here, like the course teaser, then it will update just like it always does right here. And so you can see how it looks in all of the different situations. So when I was in the section settings for courses, there was another new thing here called propagation method. So for each of the sites that are enabled, which of the sites should the entries in this section be saved to? And you can choose save entries to all sites, save entries to other sites with the same language, save entries to other sites in the same site group, or only save entries to the site in which they were created. Previously in Craft, prior to 3.2, there was really just a checkbox that you check whether it should be propagated to all sites or not. And what they've done is they've broken this down so you can now have a little bit more granular control over how things are propagated across different sites and different languages. And this came out of a feature request in the GitHub project for Craft. And propagation method is now another option and another authoring feature in Craft 3.2. All right, let's keep moving and see what else we can find that's new in Craft 3.2. So I'm going to jump into the settings and fields, and let's go into lessons. And I have a field in lessons called lesson materials. And it is a table, and I have the download link or name and the download link URL. Now let's say I wanted to make another column saying what type of link it is. So link type. And now I have the option of choosing a drop-down field. And this is new. I click on the gear, and now I can manage the options for that drop-down field, and I can say internal link or external link. Done. And now when I save this and then go into my lessons right here, you can see now I can choose between internal and external for the type of link. And that may be something that's handy, but now we do have the ability to use a drop-down field in a table column. Speaking of drop-downs, which are now available in our table field, if I go back to settings to fields, I'm going to create a new field, and the type will be a drop-down. And then you can now set up opt groups for your drop-down as well. And this is great if you need to group together options in a drop-down. You can do it right here using the checkboxes and group them together. So this is new as well, just related to the Craft 3.2 update with the drop-down field in the table. And the opt groups is also available in our multi-select field as well. All right, so another one, we're going to go into entries to our element index here. And now we have the ability to sort on custom fields. So I have this field called has free account access, has guest access. And before you couldn't sort on these fields. And now we are able to sort on custom fields in our element indexes. All right, so let's cover a couple more new things in 3.2. The next one is going to be for users. So if I go into users now, and let's say I create a new group called customer service, and I want these people to be able to log into the control panel with limited access, but one thing I want them to be able to do is to administrate users, so to be able to access user accounts, help reset passwords, just help people do the things that they need to do when they're having problems on the site. But I also want them to be able to impersonate users. And this is a new permission that is available now in Craft. Before, you had to be an admin in order to impersonate a user. If you've never done that, if you go into a user account, and if you're logged in as an admin, you can click on the gear menu and say log in as Ryan. And that will then log you in as if you were using my account, and then you could see the site as me. And this is great. I've actually used this before to help troubleshoot issues that people are having with the site. And it's really handy, but it's restricted only to admins. And I don't want to give everyone admin access just to have that feature. So it's nice to be able to go in, create a new group called customer service, allow them to administrate users and impersonate users, maybe moderate. That's probably good. We don't want them to delete. They have to be able to access the CP as well. One thing that has to happen is that the users that have this impersonate user permission have to also have at least the same permission as the people that they're impersonating. So if I create customer service, and then I go into my users, go to customer service, and I create a new customer service user. And then under permissions, I can now choose to put them in the customer service group. That means they get that permission. But I also need to put them in the customers group because they have to have the same permissions as the customer as well. When we do that, click Save. And now we have our new user. Now let me click through here. I'm going to activate the account just so we have access to it. And now I'm an admin, so I'm going to impersonate this user. I'm going to log in as customer service. And you can see I get logged into the control panel. Here's my users tab. And I now have access to users. I'm going to go to customers, and then I'll click on this customer. And now in the gear menu, you can see I have the login as Ryan Ireland option here. I can click on that. And now I'm logged in as that person. Of course, I'm sent to the front end of the site because customers don't have control panel access. And now I can log in as this person and check to see what the problem is, to try to recreate a problem that they're having, all that good stuff. So that's a nice feature that is now carved out just for as its own permission that you can then give to other users or user groups. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you know that I'm a fan of the Dumper plugin by Jan Heckens. This is a great plugin that gives you the ability to have basically Larapack DD in Craft. Well, we can now get DD dump and die is what I like to use. We can get that now right inside of Craft without any third-party plugins. So I'm going to open the lessons listing template. So let's say I want to dump out some lesson data here to see what this is returning. I do the standard tags, DD, and then the variable that I want to dump and die will say lessons, which I'm setting here to the results of this element query that I'm executing. And when I do that, go to the lessons page, reload, and you can see it dumps out everything from that variable like that. So a couple things to note is that this is fine. It is still not as nice as what the Dumper plugin offers. The Dumper plugin actually dumps it within sort of the frame of the site and nicely formatted. It's actually quite nice, but now we have it natively in Craft. So if you didn't want to have the plugin installed, then you don't need it any longer. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the new testing support in Craft. Craft has adopted and implemented support for the codeception testing framework. And I'm not going to go over that in this video because this is supposed to be just a overview video. However, I just published a new video called Creating Your First Test in Craft CMS. And it walks through how to install codeception, how to get things up and running. There's a little bit of fiddliness that happens to make it work. And then how to write your first acceptance test. And I do that all. And I'll put a link along with this video to that one so you can check it out. I go into depth over 22 minutes. So you can, at the end, write your first acceptance test and then hopefully build on from there and start to create some more acceptance tests. I'm going to do a whole bunch of material, a whole course on testing in Craft, but that should get you started. So that was a lot that we went over to jam into this video. It's a nice overview, though, of what is available in Craft 3.2. If you want to read up what the folks at Pixel and Tonic wrote about 3.2, you can check out their blog post, also linked below this video. And you can see their descriptions of the new features. There's a couple I didn't mention, like headless preview. And then there's also the related element validation and multi-site element queries. There's another video here on the site where I do cover that multi-site element queries, but you can check that out as well. So I encourage you to check out Craft 3.2. If you're curious how I update a version-controlled Craft CMS, you can watch my video. It's called Workflow for Updating a Version-Controlled Craft CMS Site, where I walk through step-by-step the process, the safest way to do this, both for plugin updates and for Craft updates. So you might want to watch that before you update to 3.2 to make sure that you are doing everything in a nice, safe, and logical way. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy using Craft 3.2. I'll see you on the next one.